To Man Reacts. Today, we're going to discuss why men find a high body count in women so disgusting, and what women really think about this. I recently received a request from a woman who was curious as to why some men find it so upsetting when a female partner engaged in promiscuity before they met. I'll read the email's body. Men detest this and are repelled by it. I will respond to the query and provide a justification in this video. So, it states I'm a 31-year-old female in my early to late 20s in the message's body. I probably had intimate interactions with over 100 different partners. I experimented with my sensual side, enjoyed the rush of meeting new people, and, to be honest, I didn't really find anyone I was interested in dating. However, there was a spark for intimacy, and I was horny. I get routine testing, and I count myself extremely lucky to have only ever contracted chlamydia and a severe, reoccurring yeast infection from one specific relationship. This does not, in my opinion, make me a horrible person. In fact, I prefer a partner who has a high count, so I know he has the same level of expertise as me. I'm searching for a committed partner at this time in my life. I worry about past criticism, but in reality, I don't feel humiliated. In fact, I kind of feel proud of myself for getting through 100 guys. I'm proud of being with more than 100 men. Plus, I feel like I did everything I wanted to do and I had a lot of fun. It's startling that she's 31. They want to find someone to settle down with and start a family around the time they are 30. They also want the guys to forgive her for her past. Anyway, she is currently looking for a committed partner. Well, it will cost money, so be prepared for that. As she gets older, she'll pick things up pretty rapidly. Some of it wasn't always enjoyable. I was in a serious relationship with a guy from the age of 15 to 19, and he was quite controlling. I suppose I didn't want that to ever again define who I am. No one ever forced me into an intimate encounter. I wanted to date 100 different guys, but I wanted to do it 100 times as well. I think I never really bought into the idea that women shouldn't be horny if guys can be. There is a dynamic between the genders that has been well researched, and it has typically been concentrated on women for this reason. Researchers have found that promiscuity has a negative impact on women. Women are less successful as wives and mothers the more intimate partners they have, and the younger they are when they lose their virginity. They are poor partners in marriage. Unfortunately, if you marry a woman in her mid to late 20s after she was a virgin until the age of 20, for example, she will make a better choice than a woman who has had 100 partners and lost her virginity at the age of 14 or 15, for example. This one marked the beginning of her flirting with men and notch accumulation. That's just the way things are in life. Men are not impacted in the same manner as women are. I'm aware that many of you are aware of how society today has pushed down people's throats the idea that men and women are equal, and that anything men can do, women can do, and vice versa. However, there are considerable distinctions between the genders. Even though she claims that she would prefer a man with extensive experience, there aren't many women who fit this description. The difference between men and women is that women seem to be very interested in a man's future, specifically his ability to provide for, protect, be a father, be a husband, be competent, and all those other things that they want you to check off that I have discussed repeatedly. There aren't many women who would turn away from a man who has been with a lot of women. They just don't seem to care. Obviously, guys are very curious about a woman's past as well. They don't particularly care about her education, her appearance, or her international adventures. It essentially says a lot when women start saying things like, "I spent my 20s hiking and touring the world and working on cruise ships and stuff like that." And men start to think about the woman's past and figure if she traveled to Europe 4 times in her 20s and lived in hostels with boys, how many counts did these women add on top of what they already had? The guy thinks I was around 20 when it happened to me. Why did she do that when she was 13? How many guys has she been with since then? And what other consequences came off of it as a result? That's what they're thinking, and it's why men are disgusted and dislike a woman's past. But women will never understand that dichotomy because they don't seem to care after being force-fed a strong and steady diet of feminist ideology, and women can do everything men can do and more. So, you already know where we are today in that aspect. So when it comes to long-term relationships or having kids, women are very concerned with their financial future. You need to be very concerned with their intimate past. Women do not care about your struggles. They hang out at the finish line and they pick the winners. So, if it's a short-term relationship, there's nothing to worry about for men because it doesn't really matter what a woman's past is. Nothing you know is supposed to happen out of this that might be of any significance. It's a one-night stand friend with benefits. Who cares? It doesn't matter. But if it's on a long-term basis, or more specifically, if you're looking for a girlfriend or you're looking for somebody to have kids with, for example, then it is very important to know her past. In fact, because she is very concerned with your financial future, meaning your ability to provide and protect as a man and as a masculine male role model in a household. She's very interested in that ability from you. You should be interested in her intimate past, and I'll tell you why. If a woman has a very large notch count, if she's had a very promiscuous past, where she slept with a lot of guys and lost her virginity at a very young age, then all the research data suggests that she's got a very low probability of forming a healthy monogamous attachment to one man over a long-term basis. There have been lots of studies done on this. If you take two women, where one that lost their virginity at 16 and has a notch count of 50 versus one that started at 20 and has a notch count of 2, the second woman is a far better option if you want to have kids. You're going to have less probability of divorce. You're going to have a higher probability of a healthy bond with her. Her being in your frame, and I can keep going right down the list. Now, this is where people say men and women are the same. Why can men be promiscuous with impunity but women can't? This is usually what ends up happening. This is where the freak show comes from, and the reality is that men and women complement each other. They're not the same. They're not identical, they're very different. I mean, men have massive doses of testosterone. Women have a massive dosage of estrogen. We're very different from different perspectives when it comes to hormonal levels and the way we operate in the intimate marketplace, and all the research data specifically says that women struggle to form healthy long-term monogamous bonds with men if they've had promiscuous pasts. That's just the reality of the intimate marketplace. So if you're a woman watching this and you're looking to find a solid guy and have a family with, don't be a garden tool. Don't go throwing it around to every guy that gives you some attention. You want to preserve your beauty and your notch count for that. That's just the way that it is, and you know no amount of arguing about it or pointing and sputtering is ever going to change that. It's always going to be that way. So, how do you determine the count? Because if you ask her, there's a 100% chance she won't be honest about it. If you ask a woman what her notch count is, 1, she's either going to lie, or 2, she's going to understate it. Most guys will usually say, well, you can either double or triple the number, and I'll tell you why. When women recount this number, they're thinking in their head of anything on a longer term basis, so boyfriends they might have had if they had a dating relationship that lasted 3 months. Basically anything longer than a few months' time. Anything that falls within the category of a one-night stand. What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas, or that girl's trip to Europe for the summer for 2.5 months, friends with benefits, female encounters, and everything else. They don't recount those. So you're not going to get an accurate number. You're going to get a number, but you're not going to get an accurate number. If you want to take the lazy approach, double or triple it, and there you go, you'll have an estimate that can be right or wrong. The better way to approach it is, let's say you meet a girl, and she's 31 years old, and you're dating her, and you want to try to establish this. Just ask her about her 20s, what did she do during that time? If she says she just broke up with her boyfriend she had been with since age 20, that's a good indicator of that relationship being an open one, or that she's a keeper. It also says that she didn't have a higher count. It's a reasonable low notch count, but it's pretty uncommon though. You're not going to get that very often, which you're probably going to get more of. Well, in college, it was 40 guys, or I did a lot of traveling, or I worked on a cruise ship where I traveled the world and backpacked. Truth is, you're never going to get the accurate number. When it comes to long-term relationships or having kids, you are very concerned with your financial future, so you need to be very concerned with your woman's intimate past. If you're not, you could set yourself up for a whole lot of headaches. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe for more from Man Reacts.